A very warm weekend we had, and a lot of that smoke was noticeable in the atmosphere, and it still is this morning as you look in the distance. But a lot of that smoke we're going to see some relief from in the sky as we get some southerly winds to come back, and that's going to prime kind of the atmosphere later today with those southerly winds, a little more moisture and warm weather today. In fact, we're going to cap off the weekend a little warmer even yet today in the 90s to prime the atmosphere for some severe weather possibilities later this evening into tonight. Temperatures across the board are fairly warm, a few degrees above average for this time in early June. Now we're into meteorological summer. 60 degrees right now in Lincoln, still 65 down in Beatrice, not too far away. 65 in Thedford too, 66 degrees in Valentine. A little bit of a cold front is actually setting up in the northwest corner of the state here early this morning. It's not going to move all that much, but you can see a little bit more moisture returning to the atmosphere as dew points are in the 50s and even the middle 50s, upper 50s toward Beatrice. We're going to notice just a little bit more humidity in the atmosphere today. It is going to be tolerable, so the heat index really isn't worth mentioning for the day today, even as we get to the 90s, which is a good factor because as we get toward the summer months, of course, the heat index can be a factor when we see more humidity. But today, not like that. We do have southerly winds now as you look across the state, anywhere from 5 to 15 miles per hour early this morning, but I think these pick up by the afternoon, especially in around that cold front. Things could get gusty later on this afternoon, but for most of us seeing a lot of sunshine throughout the day today, we've got a lot of time between now and this storm threat later tonight, eventually seeing these storms develop along this feature in central Nebraska. There you see it. After about 5 o'clock, these storms will be kind of opening up like a zipper across central Nebraska, and initially I think there will be a short window from the evening into Monday night where we'll be watching for some isolated tornadoes and some hail before this turns into more of a wind threat as we go later into tonight, generally weakening these storms across southeast Nebraska as they push through beyond midnight, and then still some leftover rain into tomorrow to keep tomorrow on the cooler side. So there is a slight risk that highlights much of the state of Nebraska, but you can see Lincoln on the edge of that, and then into Omaha and southeast Nebraska that drops to a marginal level 1 out of 5 risk. So here's where we're going to be watching isolated tornadoes beyond about 5 o'clock this evening. Large hail will be on the table. You see that does drop off a little bit going to southeast Nebraska, but then the damaging wind threat extends a little bit further into southeast Nebraska, including Lincoln on the edge of that. We're also looking at some excessive rainfall in between now and even through Tuesday night, adding up to an inch, 2 inches, maybe for some a little above 3 inches. So there could be some minor instances of some flash flooding as we go through the next couple of days. But that cold front and the cloud cover tomorrow, we're dropping from the 90s to the 60s, Andrew, and then staying a little bit cooler throughout this week.
Quite the jump there. All right. Thank you, Jessica. Right.